The new billionaires, how the world's richest people are quietly taking over the future. There was a time when becoming a billionaire meant building railroads, then it meant owning oil fields. Later, it meant controlling banks. Today, the game has changed. The world's newest billionaires aren't necessarily producing more goods than anyone else. They're not drilling more oil. They're not building more factories. Instead, they're doing something far more powerful. They're controlling the systems that shape modern life, the platforms we use, the technologies we depend on, the data we generate, the infrastructure behind the digital economy. And as a result, the gap between the ultra-rich and everyone else is reaching levels that would have seemed unimaginable just a few decades ago. For most of history, wealth was tied to physical assets. Land, natural resources, industrial machinery. The richest people owned things you could see. Today, many of the world's wealthiest individuals have fortunes built on assets that are almost invisible. Algorithms, networks, software, artificial intelligence, digital platforms. The modern billionaire doesn't necessarily own more things, they own systems. And systems scale faster than anything humanity has ever seen. A factory can only produce so many products. A software platform can reach billions of people overnight. This is one reason why modern fortunes are growing at extraordinary speeds. The founder of a successful technology company can create more wealth in 10 years than industrialists once created in an entire lifetime. And that changes everything, because wealth today is no longer accumulating linearly, it's accumulating exponentially. The bigger a network becomes, the more valuable it becomes. The more users a platform attracts, the harder it becomes for competitors to catch up. Success creates more success. Money creates more money. Power attracts more power. And nowhere is this more visible than among the world's billionaire class. According to global wealth reports, there are now thousands of billionaires worldwide controlling trillions of dollars in combined assets. But what's truly fascinating isn't how much wealth they have, it's how quickly they're acquiring more. Many of today's richest individuals experienced greater wealth growth in a single decade than entire family dynasties accumulated across generations. This has created a new economic reality. A reality where wealth can compound faster than wages, faster than inflation, faster than economic growth itself. And while some see this as a triumph of innovation, others see it as one of the defining challenges of the modern era. Because when wealth grows faster than everything else, society inevitably begins asking difficult questions, questions about fairness, questions about opportunity, questions about influence. After all, what happens when a handful of individuals possess resources greater than those of entire countries? The answer is surprisingly complex, because billionaires are not simply wealthy consumers, they are economic forces. Their decisions influence industries, their investments shape technologies, their companies employ millions of people, their capital funds innovation, their actions can affect entire economies. In some cases, a single billionaire can influence global markets more than governments can. And that level of influence creates enormous responsibility. Yet modern billionaires are not all the same. The billionaire of the 20th century often inherited wealth. The billionaire of the 21st century increasingly builds wealth through technology and entrepreneurship. This distinction matters because many of today's fortunes were created in a relatively short period of time. Some founders went from relative obscurity to extraordinary wealth within a single decade. The rise of the internet made this possible. Artificial intelligence may accelerate it even further. We're entering an era where a small team of people can create products used by hundreds of millions of users worldwide. That level of scalability has never existed before. And it means future fortunes could grow even faster than today's. But there is another side to this story. While billionaire wealth has expanded dramatically, many ordinary people feel left behind. Housing has become more expensive. Education costs continue rising. Healthcare remains a challenge in many countries. Economic insecurity affects millions of households. As a result, public attitudes toward wealth have become increasingly complicated. People admire success. They admire innovation. They admire entrepreneurship. But they also worry about concentration, not just concentration of money, concentration of power, because wealth today buys more than luxury. It buys influence, access, information, networks, opportunities unavailable to most people. And as the world's richest individuals become even richer, that influence naturally expands. This has led governments around the world to debate new policies, wealth taxes, corporate regulations, antitrust enforcement, inheritance reforms. The conversation is no longer simply about money. It's about the future structure of society itself. Who owns the technologies of tomorrow? Who controls artificial intelligence? Who benefits from automation? Who captures the economic gains created by innovation? These questions will define the coming decades, and billionaires will be at the center of those conversations. What's particularly interesting is that many wealthy individuals recognize these concerns. Some have pledged to donate large portions of their fortunes. Others invest heavily in scientific research, healthcare initiatives, and climate technologies. Philanthropy has become a major part of the billionaire story, but philanthropy itself raises questions. Should society rely on private fortunes to solve public problems? Or should governments play the primary role? Reasonable people disagree, yet regardless of where one stands, one reality is becoming impossible to ignore. The future is increasingly shaped by individuals whose resources rival nations, and this trend shows no signs of slowing. Artificial intelligence alone could create entirely new categories of wealth. Biotechnology may do the same. Robotics, quantum computing, space technology. The next generation of billionaires is already being created. Many of them are likely unknown today. They may be working in small startups, research laboratories, university campuses, garages, the same places where previous generations of innovators began. History suggests that the next great fortunes often emerge from technologies that initially seem insignificant. Very few people predicted the internet would create trillion-dollar companies. Very few people predicted smartphones would transform entire industries. And very few people can accurately predict what comes next. What we do know is that the world is entering a period of extraordinary technological transformation. And whenever transformation occurs, wealth follows. The people who build the future often become the richest people in it. That has been true for centuries. The difference today is speed. Everything moves faster, technology spreads faster, markets react faster, fortunes grow faster, which means the next decade could create more wealth than previous generations could have imagined. The real question isn't whether billionaires will continue to exist. They will. The real question is what kind of billionaires society wants. Builders or rent seekers, innovators or monopolists, visionaries or opportunists. Because wealth itself is not the story. What people do with wealth is. And as humanity enters one of the most transformative periods in history, the choices made by the world's richest individuals may influence the future far more than most people realize. The billionaires of tomorrow are already emerging. The technologies that will define the next century are already being built. And the race to control the future has already begun.